Hey there folks, SurferClock here, and this is one I'm sure many of you will be able to agree on. Now, most of you are here because you're theme park fans, and if that's the case, I want you to imagine your favorite attraction. Picture it in your mind right now. It could be a ride or a show, but I still want you to picture it. It doesn't even have to be from the big three. It could be your favorite ride at the fair, it could be your favorite roller coaster at Six Flags or Cedar Point or Dollywood. Now, imagine logging into your social media site of choice or checking your favorite theme park or amusement park blog just to find that your favorite attraction is slated to close. Gah! You feel that? That's your heartbreaking. You quickly share it on your feeds, tell your friends, and start planning when you're going for your last chance to have that amazing experience. Now, most of the time, you feel a volley of emotions, whether it's that fond feeling it always brings, or the anger at the company's choice to close that attraction. I'd like to take today's episode to shed some light on why these decisions are made, and what we, as theme park and amusement park fans, can do to lessen the blow. First, let's take a look at a few of the most recent closings. Let's start with Snow White's Scary Adventures, a fan favorite that, while it wasn't particularly fast or thrilling, served as one of several family dark rides that most everyone could enjoy. Now, its closure was announced in advance, so fans saw it coming and could plan to get their last rides in. Coming together and reminiscing about the good times with fellow fans, while a little tough at times, can at least bring the good times back, even if just for a moment. A meet and greet area for several princesses replaced it eventually, and while some folks may not put as much value to it as a ride, it's given Anna and Elsa from Frozen a shiny new home with plenty of queue space to hold the throngs of fans who want to meet them. Now, one can agree that 2 Snow White rides might be a little too many, and this seems to be the main reason for its closure. Next, let's look at Confrontation over at Universal Studios. Although Confrontation was one of the rides that opened the park in 1990 and was much loved by its fans, it was closed in 2002 to make way for Revenge of the Mummy. No specific reason was given, though high maintenance costs, high staffing costs, and upkeep troubles are often cited. A personal favorite of mine, Back to the Future, is another of those that, like Kong, was considered highly controversial upon its closing. Fans came out in droves for one last ride on board the 8-passenger DeLorean, and this is one of those that folks, like myself, still lament. Reasons most cited include an overall decline in ridership and waning overall interest in the franchise. Little did Universal suspect that we would all be clamoring nostalgically around the series as we drift ever closer to 2015, the year traveled to in the second Back to the Future film. Finally, and this is another one that personally hits home, there's Jaws. We've covered most, if not all, of these rides in our RIP segments, so do look at those if you want more specifics about them. Let's just say that Jaws suffered from serious technical issues throughout its run. And when you consider what will replace the entirety of the Amity area, this somehow further lessens the blow. To some people. Trust me, I am a regular reader of Universal Orlando's Facebook wall. If it's not a post about making a right turn at a certain intersection, it's usually a post lamenting the loss of Jaws, and why do we need more Potter, blah 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 blah. Now, I know that I missed a lot of examples earlier, and I don't just want this to be a graveyard for former attractions. Let's get to the meat of the topic, though. Why do our favorite attractions get shut down and or replaced? This can happen for many reasons, and we've covered some not just here, but in RIP segments and even a few of our regular episodes. But let's try and prod into some of the less common closure reasons. Mini list time, the top 5 least common reasons for attraction closures in no particular order. Number 5. Patron injuries or deaths. Although it seems like this would be a bit more common, it's typically not a reason for attractions to shut down completely. It's actually more common for an attraction to close for a few days, a couple weeks, maybe a month or two, while engineers and mechanics ensure that a ride is safe to operate. This was rumored to be why the Skyway at the Magic Kingdom Park closed, but nobody knows for sure. Though American Sings at Disneyland Park in California actually did close due to a cast member death, as the unfortunate employee was trapped between 2 moving walls between segments. So while it does happen, it's not too common. Number 4. Acts of God. While we typically try to keep our show free of most religious references, this is actually an insurance term referring to destructive acts that are not man-made. Two recent notable acts of God include the fire that gutted the under new management version of the Enchanted Tiki Room and the near-total destruction of Seaside Heights in Atlantic City, New Jersey, by way of Hurricane Sandy and the fires that subsequently followed. Unfortunately, these are completely unpredictable and tend to prevent attractions from ever reopening. Number 3. Closure of the parks around them. Now, this tends to affect smaller parks and doesn't just close one attraction, but the entire attraction lineup around them. The most notable of these I can think of is Hard Rock Park in South Carolina, which theme park blog Theme Park University did a fantastic series of posts about, analyzing their specific situation as well as the rides themselves. Definitely go check that out if you can. I believe they're at themeparkuniversity.com. Number 2. Loss of sponsorship. Epcot's rife with company-sponsored attractions and pavilions, but smaller parks also make use of corporate sponsors, typically to get rides and shows funded and built. When the money runs out or a sponsor pulls out, that's it. And if your sponsor has anything at all to do with the theme of the ride, you can bet there may be a closure ahead. Sometimes temporarily to re-theme, sometimes not so temporarily. And number 1. Guest complaints. Yeah, this is a weird one, but attractions have rarely closed because they are universally panned. The thing is, most attractions are million-dollar investments, and companies do have to recoup their money somehow. When Journey into Your Imagination replaced the 1984 original at Epcot, folks weren't just a little unhappy. They came out in untold thousands, filing complaints about the insulting nature of the attraction and Figment's reduction into a mere cameo. Just a few years later, Figment returned to the attraction, and most folks were much happier, even if Dr. Nigel Channing wasn't quite the lovable Dreamfinder folks remembered so fondly. I think the simplest reason our favorite attractions close, though, is a lack of profitability. Sure, our favorite rides can get butts in seats, and this works in the short term, but theme parks aren't in the business of running museums. To continue to draw in diverse audiences, change is inevitable. Let's also not forget that most parks have limited space to work with and occasionally border residential or commercial areas. Compromise and change are essential to theme park success. Just think about seeing a cool new movie, an action movie for example. Maybe you find yourself thinking, hey, wouldn't that be cool in a theme park if I could actually experience that? Well, trust me, you aren't the only one thinking that. Ride creators, engineers, and even park executives are seeking that next million or even billion-dollar idea. To bring us these new experiences and help drive them toward record-breaking profits, sometimes our favorites must go. It most certainly can be a good thing for newer theme park fans and the companies needing these new fans. But sometimes, despite this, in our heart of hearts, we know that these companies can make mistakes. And when it's your favorite attraction getting raised, it can sometimes be really tough to forgive them. For TAP-G, well, he's waiting for new management to retake the Tiki Room. For Tower Girl, a giant ape will be waiting for her with banana breath at the ready. As for me, I'll be waiting to see if 2015 will bring new hope for a timely revival. I'm SurferClock, and even after almost a decade without an Institute of Future Technology here in Orlando, I'm still fed up.